Okay. Alrighty, so let me just get myself adjusted real quick. Then I'm going to get this thing going. Alrighty. So welcome to, I see a little new feature here on this live chat. Welcome to the weekly astrology for this particular week of August 1st through the 5th of 2023. If you are coming on here, then welcome. And just feel free to say anything that you want to and contribute however you want to in the chat as I'm talking. So sometimes, because every single week I do the weekly astrology, so some weeks I'll do them on videos. Other weeks I'll do the weekly astrology live streamed. So it all depends. But I take, the big things that are happening for that particular week, the big main astrological events, and talk about them. Now, on these videos, I don't talk about the moon in its square to Saturn or moon conjunct Jupiter, because those are too minutile and those are too small, and I don't want to give you too much information and overcomplicate it. I don't want to overwhelm you. So I want to stick to lunations, the new moons, full moons, solar and lunar eclipses. I stick to personal planets, which include Mercury, Venus, and Mars and their aspects to the outer planets. The sun and moon are included in the list of personal planets. The aspects that they make to Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and the nodes. And I also focus on if any planet stations or goes retrograde and then goes direct. I talk about that, or if any planet enters shadow, which is sort of, you're setting up for the retrograde phase, and the planet enters shadow. That's basically entering the territory that it's going to cover when it stations to go retrograde and turns around and backs up and hits that same degree that it's in when it officially enters shadow. So, for example, Venus entered shadow at 12 degrees of Leo and is stationed retrograde at 28 degrees of Leo. So it's going to backtrack all the way to 12 degrees of Leo, where it entered shadow on June 19th. And it's going to move forward until it hits 28 degrees of Leo again for a final time when it moves forward, which is called the post-shadow, after the retrograde. So the pre-shadow, the retrograde where it backtracks, and then the post-shadow where it moves forward again and covers its same territory. So in any major planet that enters a new sign, such as Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, etc., those planets and the nodes entering new signs, just like the nodes moved into Aries and Libra, they retrograded back into Aries and Libra very recently since they move retrograde. The nodes are two mathematical points that move retrograde in the sky, and they're always directly opposite one another. So the North Node is currently moving through Aries, and the South Node is currently moving through the sign of Libra. And the nodes represent, karma and fate and growth and evolution and all the things that I describe in the video that I have about the nodes moving through Aries and Libra. The South Node through Libra, the North Node through Aries, and you can check that video out on my YouTube channel. And if I can remember, I'll put that video link below for you. And if any planet like Mercury, Venus or Mars enters a retrograde season. I've already explained that before. I'm not going to re-explain that. I realized that I started to explain what I've already told you. And so I caught myself. I'm not going to do that. Alrighty. So that's a little introduction on this channel. I also do general videos based off of astrology or spirituality or any topic that I feel inspired and interested to share with you. This week, I am planning to do a video on the nodes, the South Node and North Node through each of the 12 houses, if I can do it. We will see. So you can look for that video to come out tomorrow, hopefully. All right, so let's get into it. So this week, what we have going on this particular week is we have a lot happening on the 1st of August, which is the full moon in Aquarius. But before I talk about that, I want to talk about an energy that surrounds the full moon, which is Mercury forming an opposition to Saturn. Now, Mercury is the planet of communication. It is, I think, Hermes in Greek mythology, where it sort of traveled from the above land, the mythological highland where everything's very bubbly and light filled, to the dark, hell, underworld, and it was the messenger sending messages from high and low. Mercury rules Gemini, and Mercury also rules the choices that are created in life, the choices and the decisions that you make based off of light and dark, based off of, I'm going to make this choice based off of weighing out the positives and negatives and which choice is more worth making in my life based off of those pros and cons. So it looks at the duality of life. It looks at the mind, the decisions that you make, the moves that you make, the things that you decide to say and do in your life. It also, Mercury rules how you think, how you strategize. It also is the planet of communication. So Mercury in transit is what we're thinking about, how we're making decisions, how we're thinking, how we are communicating, and what we're more attuned to when it comes to the intellectual mind during whatever sign is transiting. It's forming an opposition to Saturn. Now, Saturn is discipline. It rules over structure, government, and any responsibility and any task that we have to get done. Saturn's, it's an old teacher that says, get to work, do what you need to do, focus, commit, don't give up. Saturn is the planet that really asks you to mature in a spiritually evolved way. So that's, Saturn energy. And so when we have an oppositions, so Mercury is in Virgo and Saturn is in Pisces. So oppositions, we have the two planets at 180 degrees apart from one another. So when we have an opposition, Mercury and Saturn, because Pisces is opposite to Saturn. So these two are going in opposite directions, opposite poles. Pisces and Virgo are similar in the sense that they want to serve, they want to help, they want to nurture, nourish, heal other people. They want to make a difference in others' lives. But they do it in different ways. It is about how you take care of yourself and take care of others. It's about the health axis, the self-care axis. Both of these two signs approach this in two very different ways, but they are similar. So that's what an opposition basically is. And so the two are sort of going in different directions, but you want to put them together. You want to find the common ground and integrate and merge the two energies together. So oppositions in astrology are more difficult aspects than trines and sextiles and conjunctions. Those are the easier aspects. With this particular opposition, we can have a serious mind. We can think very, very seriously and strongly about things. We can think very logically and practically about the things that we need to do and the details that we need to take care of and the things that we need to cross off our list. We can really have an eye for details at this time, but how this can manifest and show up in a negative way is that we're caught up in the flaws of what is really wrong. And judging other people for their flaws, judging ourselves for our flaws, that we are not good enough, that we are just not doing a good enough high quality job and not getting things right and not getting the details right, not getting the work done. So we're too caught up in the details during this time. So that's something to be very mindful of, is can we sort of step back and detach and get perspective and see things from a broader lens and see things from a much bigger picture. See the forest for the trees. So Saturn at worst can be negative and pessimism, pessimistic. And Mercury in Virgo at worst can be too nitpicky and too critical, too judgmental. So we can find ourselves feeling very negative and pessimistic, where we're not seeing the possibilities and potentials and not seeing the hope in what we can strive for and what can actually be made out of this pile of what we view as crud, when really there is something that can be made out of that pile. So it's about the circumstances that we are living in and the things that we need to get accomplished. And can we approach that in a way where we are paying attention to the details in a healthy way, but we can also step back and view it from a bigger picture and see the positives in what we are doing and not getting so consumed in what's not working and what is negative. This is also not good for any major decisions that you want to make. Negotiations, communicating with authority figures. This is also not good for that, because what can happen is there can be conflict with communicating with people in sort of, having more power over you. And just authority figures in general. So not good for communicating with people, negotiating, finding solutions, where we may not actually see the details and we may not want to see the details. So it is said and it is written that that is not good for this particular aspect. But it may require more focus and more work to put your mind to those details and really focus in on what is needed and what matters to get the job done. So the downside of Saturn can also be a malefic planet. It's a cold planet. It represents, especially in relationship, if there is Saturn that shows up in synastry or relationship between two people, it can show up as there can be an isolation and there can be a detachment between two people where there's not a warm, enthusiastic, nurturing, loving, caring, close connection between the two people. Instead, it's more of a cold, detached sort of connection where the two people are in two different planes, and one's restricting and inhibiting the other from being their authentic self and from expressing themselves and, being themselves, as, Saturn really sort of puts a test on that particular person in the relationship. And so there can be feelings of isolation, feelings of loneliness, and feelings of constriction, of you not being able to communicate what you want to and truly express yourself, and speak what it is that you're thinking, and achieve what you want to achieve at this time. But at the high road, this can also be a great aspect for having deep and serious conversations with other people, really getting to the grindstone of, this is the truth of what is going on. This is what is not working, and this is this is what is not going to work for the long term. Those kind of conversations can come up, and you can really get to the root of what is going on, and talk about it, and get very serious, and get very honest with that Saturn energy. That's sort of the Saturn energy can really bring you down to, this is not what I'm fantasizing in my head. This is actually what is going on. This is the reality of the situation. And now let's talk about this, and let's hear each other's perspectives, and let's come up with a solution to better this, or improve this, or make for change and growth if need be, with this particular issue. It can also be good for, teamwork, where we're communicating with other people, coming up with solutions, getting grounded, having sort of practical relationships with people, where we're connecting and collaborating and working together as a team to take care of the details and get the job done. So, in general, there can be challenges with communications that can occur around this time. Now, the full moon in Aquarius happens on August 1st as well. So it is going to occur at 9 degrees and 16 minutes of Leo in Aquarius. When we have a full moon, the sun and moon are going to be opposite one another. So the sun's going to form an opposition to the moon. So this full moon occurs at 1:35 p.m. Central Time, 2:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So Eastern Standard Time is always going to be an hour ahead of Central Time. So you want to pay attention for the time that you live on, and when this full moon is going to be occurring for you. And you can find a time zone converter out there and convert this particular time to your time zone, and find out when this full moon is occurring for you. So we have these two energies taking place of Leo and Aquarius. Leo is really about fun and passion and joy and entertainment. It's about really being the child of your life, really making the most out of your life, and brightening it up with all the colors in the room and in the world. Leo is about you shining your individual light, and your individual spark, really celebrating your unique gifts and talents, and showing them to the world, and really taking up as much space as you want to. And then Aquarius is about the society, more of the collective focus. It is about what could be for the greater good of humanity. It deals with you being one in humanity. Leo is represented by the sun. And then the sun really, all the other planets revolve around it. So you're really, you are the center of your life. But then Aquarius is about everybody else. It is about everyone else revolving around you. It is about humanity, and society, and what is, what you can contribute to humanity. That's the Aquarius Leo axis at its finest. So it deals with what is equal for humanity. It deals with themes such as freedom, equality, self-expression, all those kinds of things like that. So Aquarius really wants that society to be equal and manageable and to serve the highest good of all, because Aquarius is about the highest good of all. It really wants to create a system where everyone's needs are getting met and everyone has a chance to shine. And everyone, no matter how quirky or diverse they are, is getting an equal chance. Everyone's equal, everyone's on the same playing field, and everyone's contributing to a greater whole. That is the Aquarius vision. And so it's a good lunation to take a look at the society that you live in. And are there things that need to be changing? What do you like about the society? And what could be altered around? And taking a look at the different dynamics in society. So, there's a very interesting dichotomy with Aquarius energy because it can be the individual, but then also the collective. And I find it very interesting that Aquarius is the glyph is actually two waves that while they are connected, there's also a space between them. So everyone is allowed to be their own unique self without getting enmeshed and too close into squashed into everybody else. So they're together, yet they are apart. So that is Aquarius is sort of, together, you're collaborating, you're communicating, and you are in a communion with other people, yet you are an individual, and yet you have your own unique voice and your own unique path in life, and you're apart. So this relation really is about bringing you back to where expressing your authentic self. Really marching to the beat of your own drum, of where you've not been liberating yourself enough. Now is the time to really liberate yourself and do something that is very creative and not getting so caught up in the approval of everybody else. Because one thing about Leo energy is that it wants other people to like it. It wants, to get the approval and the applause from the group. Leo energy really thrives on that validation. And so when Leo gets caught up in these shadow realms, it can be very egoic. It can be getting caught up in other people giving you the applause and the attention, and it's not coming from your heart, and you're not expressing it from your heart energy. And it's not from a true place. And that's sort of the shadow side of Leo energy, and also can be feeling being too big for your bridges, or it can be arrogance. With Leo energy, it can be, oh, I'm the best, and I'm better or more special than anybody else. And the shadow side of Aquarius energy, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But this really deals with being your authentic self, being true to yourself, liberating yourself. This is a time to express your creative genius, really do something that's, quirky, innovative, original, to, play around and experiment with certain things in your life that you've never tried before. It's time to be original and, invent something, learn something new, explore something new, and ask those what if questions and ponder. And really, because Aquarius is an air sign, it wants to learn new things, it wants to do new things, travel, explore new things, all those kind of things like that. So that's really what it is about. Aquarius does not want to follow It sort of wants to go on its own path, and this is a great lunation where you can do that. Aquarius is about, Mercury is exalted in Aquarius, and so Uranus is the higher mind. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, and it's the planet of the higher mind. So you can think up radical new ideas at this time, these, great innovations for these new things that you never came up with before. And it's time to act upon them in practical and slow and steady ways, because Uranus is in the sign of Taurus at this time. So, wonderful for creative new ideas, especially if they can better your community or your family or your town or society and all of those kind of things. It's interesting to narrow down Aquarius because it is so collective oriented, because the focus for Aquarius is the masses. We're talking about the larger group and what can be in place for humanity, the larger group consciousness. And so really when we look at the shadow side of Aquarius, when we look at the negative frequencies of the sign, we are looking at not feeling like we can speak up, not feeling like our voice is heard to implement the changes that we want to, or to speak up to this could be changed, or this could be done differently, or this is my idea, this is my contribution. It can be, it can go to that extreme where we cannot feel like we can express ourselves and shine our unique light and put ourselves out there with what we want to do and how we want to express ourselves, and sort of that contribution that we are making. And we just go along to get along with everybody else. We also sort of fall to a victim, disempowered mentality where we rely on larger organizations and governments to make the changes and do the work to change things and put our vision into actual manifestation, because we do not feel that sense of empowerment to do it ourselves and to really grow and put ourselves out there and be our unique selves in a way of really, again, adding our own pieces of puzzle into it. So, so it's important not to get caught up in that negativity, but to balance these two poles. We're not leaning too far towards Leo and not too far towards Aquarius, where we're not feeling a sense of worthiness for voicing our own ideals. And so this lunation is great for future thinking about the future, thinking about what we want for the future, because Aquarius rules over technology and the technological innovations that we are sort of putting place in for the future. And so great to think about your personal future and what kind of innovations and changes that you want to make and things that you want to do differently in the future. All right, so full moons, whenever we have a full moon, we bring things to the surface, things come to the surface, we can see things in a much bigger, more conscious light, where things that were unconscious and in the shadows and sort of underneath the surface sort of come to the surface so that we can see things more clearly. And through seeing things more clearly, we have the opportunity to purge what no longer works for us and end what we need to end, to make space for something new, which is what happens at the new moon. So the very last little aspect that I want to touch on is a beautiful trine between Mars and Jupiter, these two masculine energies sort of coming to the forefront here. So Mars trine Jupiter, this is good for trines are always very positive aspects. The two planets are harmonizing, where Mars is in Virgo and Jupiter is in Taurus. Both of those are earth signs, so that when the planets align in two signs of the same element, that means that they're trining. So this is a very harmonious, easy flowing, beautiful energy. And so we have Mars, the planet of action, assertion. The planet, yeah. When we have Mars, the planet of action, drive, assertion, your willpower, the energy that you want to put into what you want to achieve, in Jupiter, which has a beautiful. I'm going to stand up for a second because of certain things. Okay, there we go. I had to do that for just a second. Okay, so Jupiter is a benefic energy. It's a positive energy. It deals with a positive outlook for life. It wants to see things sort of the grass is greener on the other side, sort of viewpoint. It is about a higher vision for life. It's about seeing the positivity in all things. And it really gives you that confidence and that sense of self strength, and really gives you a superpowered sense of power that you can achieve whatever you you know want to. And it's really about having fun. That's Jupiter energy. So this aspect is good for anything that you want to initiate or go after or accomplish. This is going to give you the energy and drive and stamina and boost of optimism to achieve that, where you can, I can do this, I can, get this done. So, when you take action from this energy, then there can be a lot of success and rewards that can comfort. So it's great for getting anything done. So this is a masculine energy where you can have a lot of confidence in yourself and a lot of faith to get done what you really want to get accomplished. So that's how you can use this energy in the most positive way. All right. So that is your horoscope for the week. I really hope that you found this information insightful and informative. And I will look forward to seeing you next week. Bye, everyone.